Hi, this is Graham Helfrich, Technical Advisor Manager for the Engineering Software here at IHS Markit. Welcome to the weekly Did You Know episode, where we learn how to do something of value that you probably didn't know about your IHS Markit engineering software. Today we're going to talk about automating decline analysis, and this really matters when you have hundreds or thousands of wells. So who actually needs to perform decline on that many wells? There's really two scenarios. Number one, if you're doing reserves on your own operated wells. The second scenario is if you're performing A and D work on non-operated wells. So whenever you have a high volume of wells, it can be really time consuming just to perform decline analysis on each well. Plus, if you do an automated method, you might want each well to have a unique B value that best matches its history. So did you know that you can actually automate this entire process with Harmony Enterprise and send the results to your reserve software? Let's check it out. So here I have a Harmony Enterprise project with over 1,000 wells, and I'm using monthly data. I got this from Interdeck. Just to prove there's 1,000 wells, I'll pick them all. And there's actually 1,006 wells, okay? So each of these wells has its own unique production history, right, its own trend, and I need to do decline analysis on each well. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and pick the first well, and I'm going to be using the forecast module. I'm going to do a rate time plot, or you could do rate cum if you prefer. Now, just before I apply my decline, I want to go to my options to control how that decline is going to behave. So if you want to force a B value to always be 1.5 on each well, you can enter that in. In my case, I want the B value to be automatic, but I never want it to go over 2. So that's my upper limit. I'm also putting a terminal decline of 7%. So once it reaches 7% per year, it'll switch to exponential. And here are my abandonment conditions. If you want something a bit more complex, you can have a multi-segment decline, which has a lot more flexibility. So first segment, again, can be automatic B value or forced. To trigger the second segment, there's different triggers. You can have a delta time, a minimum rate, a delim, or a cum to trigger the second decline segment, and that's for both gas and oil. That next segment can again be an automatic B value, a fixed value, or a delim as well. So a lot of flexibility. I'm just going to keep it simple and use automatic B with a maximum of 2 and switch to exponential at 7%. And that's it. So go ahead and apply our first decline. It matches fine. The vertical green line is just an indication of when it is switching to exponential. I'm going to rename this to be my April 2009 decline analysis. Now imagine if I had to go through that process that I just showed you for every single well in these 1,000 wells. It would take a long time. Instead, we're going to automate that. So here we have these kind of favorites or bookmark looking symbols. We're going to create a workflow, and this is going to include a rate time plot and also a decline. So we'll create our decline analysis workflow, and now we see under our saved workflows we have this one that we've just created. So let's go ahead and apply it to all these other wells and get this automated process going. So we're going to apply this workflow and we'll say start. I'm going to time this to see how long it takes. So we'll just watch this. Again, every well is getting a unique B value, a unique EUR, and that's sometimes, better than just doing a fixed value, which you certainly have the option to as well. Every well can have its own, the same B value if you want. Okay, well, actually it took a little quicker than 9 minutes. So, wow, we have a lot of results now. So we can always toggle through each of the wells just to see how the decline is fitting. So this one came up with a B value of 1.1. This one's 0. That's a tough well. This one is 0.7. 0.8. So again, every well has its own unique decline. Now, if we want to adjust the decline, maybe we're not happy with how it fit, we want to put our own interpretation on. It's easy. We got these on-screen tools, and you can just highlight the data you want it to include. If I don't like that, I can remove it and say I want to kind of follow this trend here. So very easy just to adjust the initial decline. So what do we do with all these results, right? Every well has a B value, an EUR. That's 1,000 wells. Well, one thing I want to do is maybe make a bubble map of the EUR. So I'm going to show a later video about how to make the bubble maps, but for now we can show the EUR by color. So I can see, the size and the color in this case are representing a higher EUR. I can always zoom in and maybe see that this well right here seems to have a pretty warm color. So we can always go ahead, check this well out. Okay, so it seems like a good match, so I'm not really doubting the EUR too much. Sometimes if there's data jumping around, it can be a false answer. So what about getting all of these results out to your reserves software, right? Well, you just go export, decline analysis, and these are the common reserve software that we can export to. I'll talk about this in more detail in another video, but this is just a preview. This is the Aries export. These are all 1006 of our wells. We got the well name, the decline parameters, the decline name, and so this is exactly what Aries will consume. A lot of companies use both Aries and Harmony Enterprise because they both have their own strengths, right? As you can see, Harmony Enterprise creates the declines and the forecasts super quick. Aries has your comprehensive economics for reserves. So you can see how well they work together. Now what about finding what our average EUR is? Well, I've got another weekly Did You Know video that you can already watch. I'll provide a link for it here to how to do this, but I'll show you some of the results here. So we're going to pick all the wells. We're going to go to our results. And I've already got the cumulative distribution function selected, so I'm going to go ahead and just get my results. Okay, so from among these 1,000 wells, our P50 EUR is 2.4 BCF. Well, what if I wanted to just look at it for one of the operators? No problem. We're going to just pick all the XTO wells. Their average, or P50, is about 2.1 BCF. EUR, Southwestern, 2.6. BHP, 2 BCF. So you see how quick and easy this is. We can also even look at the average B value. So for all the 1,000 wells, P50 is about 1.5 as a B value, right? So what about the impact on our EUR if we were to change the terminal decline? Right now we are using 7%, but what if it was 5%? What if it was 9%? What impact would that have on our EUR? Well, instead of going and repeating the declines like we did, which we could certainly do, we actually can bulk edit these decline conditions to save some time and see the impact on the EUR. So I'm going to have another video showing that exact step, but let me show you some of the results from doing that. So again, I'm looking at my cumulative distribution function plot here, and I've got my EUR, I've got my probability on the y-axis, and all I have here is I've pasted 3 of these EUR results, and for among the 1,000 wells. The blue line is if we were to apply a 9% terminal decline, the orange line a 7%, and the green a 5%. So what we can see with this is with 9% terminal decline, in general we have a lower EUR because it kind of enables and engages that exponential decline to happen sooner. And with 7%, a slightly higher P50 EUR, and then with the 5%, again, these are sensitivities that everyone does, and you can just see how quick you can do it in Harmony Enterprise. What if we want to cross-plot some things? What about 12-month cum versus EUR? Again, the other video I've already recorded, you can check it out, shows the process in detail, but I want to see for these 1,000 wells is there a relationship between 12-month cum and EUR? So I'll pick crossplot. We're going to pick our gas EUR as one of the axes, and the other will be our 12-month cum. Okay, so I see a very strong relationship between 12-month cum and EUR, and you can certainly put a line on this and check the slope out. You can change this to semi-log or log if you want. What about lateral length versus the EUR I just got from all these wells? So I'm going to pick only the wells where I've got at least 1,000-foot lateral to include in this. And instead of the 12-month cum, we are going to take the lateral length. In this case, I have per 1,000 foot of lateral. And again, I see a strong relationship. So again, using this EUR value for a lot of different things. And that's it. So what does this mean for you? Well, first, you see how quickly we can generate a EUR for every single well, even when you have thousands of wells. So whether you're analyzing your own wells or looking at non-op wells from Interdeck, you can do it in a really quick amount of time. The other thing this means for you is you actually have time to afford the ability to do sensitivities. So if you want to see what the impact of a different B value would have, of a different terminal decline, of a different abandonment condition on the EUR, you actually can afford to do it in a quick software like Harmony Enterprise. And of course, getting all these results out to your economic software so it's complementary. And that's it. I really want to thank you for your time for checking this out. If you have any questions, definitely give me a call or an email. And please subscribe to be notified of next week's Did You Know video.